Brain, episode 628 for Wednesday, March 5th, National Stop Bad Service Day 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take a few ideas and we crunch them, dissect them, use them to help tune our business brains so that we can each do a better job at living those charmed lives each day, those charmed lives each day. See that? Iteration is already happening first 10 seconds into the show. Well, it might be the first minute in. Our sponsor today is macaudio.com/brain. That is Rogue Amoeba Software. They make some of the best audio software for your Mac. I couldn't record this show without it. I couldn't record any podcast. Literally every podcast episode of the 2,300 that I've recorded has been done with Rogue Amoeba Software. Wow. And macaudio.com/brain, coupon code BRAIN gets you 20% off. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in sunny Northern California, I'm Shannon Jean. Rogue Amoeba, they've been around forever, man.
They were around before I started creating my podcasts. Amazing. Because that's cool. I don't know if I was the first one to use their software, but I might have been to record a podcast. Certainly not the first one to use their software. Yeah, but it certainly just dawned on me that it was like, wait, there's this software that I can use to route audio inside my Mac, and obviously they've expanded quite a bit in the last two decades.
Yes, that's awesome. That's
great. It's great stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. Good to have him here. So
I have a thing that I was thinking about this past weekend as I was responding to an email, and it was an email trail that I had started on Friday, kind of as a coaching exercise for one of the sales reps here, just to show them, okay, look, this is how I'm going to approach this. Follow along, and then the next one you take and do this way, right? You know, okay. So I mean, kind of stuff happens all the time, totally normal. And so we sent them all the things they needed to send, and one of the main things that I was intending to coach was pacing. Like when somebody asks a question, we answer it, right? Yes. You know, and if they raise an objection, we do everything we can to address the objection so that there's no more objections left and they're ready to rock, right? And and just help them through the process. And
sure,
so
makes sense.
Yep. So this all started on Friday. We got them everything they needed by end of day, and which they needed for a thing on Monday. So it was like, great, we'll just get it to them before we leave on Friday, and they're good to go. And on Sunday late, an email came in. Actually, might have been midday Sunday or something, but I looked at my phone and I saw an email come in with a question. And it was a very easily answerable question. And I know for me that, and I don't know if this is good or bad. I want to address all of this.
Okay.
So I'll barf all this out, and then I want you to dissect it with me. So I know for me, for better and or worse, if my head is already in an email because I've read it and I know the answer, instead of delaying responding until later, I will just respond right away. Doesn't matter if it's if it's 10 o'clock at night, if it's noon on Sunday. My head's already in it. I have made the decision, a mistake or not, to look at the email. I'm already there. I can choose to come back to this and spend time on it again or never spend time on it. So I replied. And I started thinking twofold. I had two parallel thoughts. One was, is this the right thing for me? And maybe there's three parallel thoughts. B, the second one is, is it reasonable to train an employee, expect an employee to act the same way, or is this a dangerous path? And then it's like, C, am I training my customers? Yeah. I am training my customers. Is that a good thing? So all of that.
Yeah, I have a hard time not doing exactly that.
I know.
I want to be like super responsive, and I want that message to be in their inbox when they come in the morning.
If my customer's working on the weekend and I can help them, I want to do that.
I agree. I know. Yes to everything you said about bad habits, teaching my customer, training my customer, expecting it to my employees. But I do the same thing. I check my work email all the time, and we just came out. We're recording this on a Monday, so it's like my weekend is spent like, oh, what are you doing today? Well, I got these projects to do around the house. We were home last weekend.
Sure.
And both days it was like, oh, and I got some office work. I need to go. I'm going to go up to my office and get some stuff done for an hour. And during that time, I answer those emails and send those responses and post that content. I've always done it, and I think it's a benefit.
Okay,
I do.
But how do you scale that, or can you? Is it realistic to expect your team to respond the same way? Because if the I agree with that. I tell my team, do not listen to what I say, don't do what I do. But here's the problem. Then how do you delegate? How do I hand this off to people? The whole point of this particular exchange was to train and relinquish.
Yeah. Then you made a mistake.
Right.
You made an error, because unless you're just like, hey, if you're around and you can answer this quick, you should do it. Okay, that's okay. If it's a sales thing,
maybe that's the message I'm sending.
That is exactly the message you're
sending. It's not maybe.
No, that's it. Yeah. If it's a sales position, I'm sorry. Sales is all the time. If you want to get ahead and you want to stand out, I don't know what to tell you. You need to be answering emails on the weekend. I just think, or getting back to customers, or responding in a workspace. I don't know. I think that's okay in a sales role. I think that is, and perhaps the way you do it is you say, look, if you're not around or you're not available, I don't expect you to answer these messages.
Then you're not available. Right.
It's okay. If you're on your phone and you can answer a quick message, if you're at your desk because you're trying to get some stuff done to get ahead of the week, you might, if you want to try to impress this client, or, if you want to achieve more,
that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. I don't know.
Because it really
depends on the role.
You're right. This is the message, and this is a hard thing to train. So maybe this is what we got to think about and get some feedback at businessbrain.show about is what I want to train is how to balance work and life without doing it by the clock, because the same expectation is of myself. Like if I'm in the middle of something with my family, and I'm not checking my phone, and then 4 hours later I look at my phone and I see that, 3 hours ago, this client emailed asking for a thing, and it happened to be a Saturday, or it even happened to be a Tuesday. Yeah. It's fine. I'll just answer it as soon as my head's in it.
Correct.
And that,
if your head's
I think,
not in it, you're doing a disservice to, in this case, your family, as well as you're doing a disservice to your client. Now, I also find myself in those conflicts all the time, and I wish I was better at keeping it separate, but I'm not. And so it is a constant. It's a constant battle. But I think you can train your team, and now it depends. Now, if it's an admin person or a customer service person or I don't know, whatever.
Non-sales.
Let's say non-sales. Unless you're paying them a certain way, then I don't think you can expect them to do that. But for a sales position, man, I just think you're on all the time.
All right, folks, I love talking about the tools that make running a business easier. Well, when it comes to recording this very podcast and literally every other podcast I do, I couldn't do it without the software from our sponsor, Rogue Amoeba. Seriously, if my Mac lost Loopback, Audio Hijack, or Farrago, I'd probably have to record this show on a tin can and some string. It probably wouldn't sound all that good to you. Rogue Amoeba makes the best Mac audio tools, period. Want to route audio between apps? Loopback does it effortlessly. Need to capture any sound on your Mac? Audio Hijack is a total game changer. And their new Whisper AI-powered transcription, yep, you heard that right, it turns everything I say into text right on my Mac. No cloud, no nonsense, just fast, accurate transcriptions. If you're running a podcast, a business, or just want the ultimate control over audio, you need Rogue Amoeba. Check out their apps at macaudio.com/brain. That's macaudio.com/brain. Plus, through the end of May, because you're a Business Brain listener, you can save 20% with code, BRAIN. So, macaudio.com/brain, code BRAIN, 20%. This is a no-brainer. See what I did there? Live your charmed life with better audio. Go grab Rogue Amoeba's stuff today. And our thanks to our friends at Rogue Amoeba for sponsoring this episode. Shannon, while I was reading the ad there, we got a comment in real time from a LinkedIn user about the topic we were just talking about. And they ask, how could delay sending that email benefit your behaviors and not set unrealistic expectations of the customer?
Well,
I'm not sure that it does.
I don't think it does. I think it does send. I think it sets a expectation of the customer that you're hustling and that you want
by
the
not
sale.
delay sending it.
Yeah,
by sending it immediately.
Yeah, by sending
yes.
it. So it's kind of flipped.
Right. So delay sending, meaning write the email and then say send it at Monday morning at 9 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
To train the customer.
Yes.
And in some scenarios, that's actually a really good idea.
It is a good thing. Yeah.
Because it gets it out of your head. You don't have to revisit it on Monday. But you're not training the customer that you're going to be available for them all the time. Now, for everything non-sales, I love this tactic.
So do I.
I need to employ this tactic. However, for sales stuff, I still think the immediate send is the key. Because I had a conversation with one of my salespeople last week.
Yeah.
Where they said, oh, I finally heard back from so-and-so about this thing we proposed them. But I don't think we need to get back to them right away. They waited 3 days to reply to us. And I said, oh, no. We can't presume motive here.
Correct.
We don't know why it took them 3 days. They might have been out of the office. They might have just tabled it until they had time to really consider it. But the fact is, we just got an email from them, which means now is the time they are considering it. We got to get back to them right away. Otherwise, we might be adding 3 more days after we send it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when somebody, if a sale is hot, meaning if a client or a potential client is on top of things and asking you questions, answer them as quickly as you can. That's how I approach sales. It might be intellectually and psychologically unhealthy. But
no. Well, maybe, but I think that it's.
I think it probably is.
Yeah, I think context is really important here. And so along that line, I want to read. Let me see if I can find it. I want to read a post that a guest that we had on a couple months ago, maybe month ago, Noel Halal, who from Iris Tattoo and Piercing. This guy, he's building like the Apple Store of tattooing and piercing. It's fantastic. It's really an interesting guy. He's a great follow on X. So I want to read this post, and it really made me stop and think. Noel wrote, hot take, if your business runs 100% without you, it means you sold it, only no one paid you for it, and all the risk is yours. And I read that, I was like, wait, what? And so he added some context. If your business operates entirely without you, that's not financial freedom. It's a silent sale where you kept all the liability but none of the rewards. A business that truly runs on its own is either an asset generating passive income or an entity you've successfully exited for a price. If you're still carrying the risk, still responsible for failures, and yet not actively steering the ship, then you've effectively handed over ownership just without the paycheck to show for it.
All right, so there's a dichotomy happening in his statement here. There's a conflict because he says a business that truly runs on its own is either an asset that generating passive income, and let's stop right there, not the or. So if it is an asset generating passive income,
you're getting
you
something.
You still are carrying the risk.
You are,
and still responsible for the failures. Is that bad? Because that doesn't seem so bad.
No, but I think what he's saying is you're letting someone else make decisions. Someone else is steering the ship.
Oh.
So in essence...
So it's like owning stock in a company that pays dividends.
Yeah.
I mean, it is owning stock in a company that pays dividends.
Yeah, but you're also at far more risk, right?
Yeah. Well, if you own...
Yes.
Yeah, you're not owning the same percentage of stock in the asset.
Correct,
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah,
so,
I see what you're saying.
And I thought... it just made me really think about, there's all this talk you hear about, passive income. But it's just an interesting way to look at it that I've never considered because I've stepped aside from, okay, I got an operator on this and that. I'm getting payment, basically a dividend, and someone else is operating the business. But at the end of the day, man,
if they walk away, you're holding the bag.
Or something bad happens, you're all of a sudden you're like, you're dragged back in, but not in a good way. So there's a little hyperbole.
Well, this makes me of course it is. It's intended to it was posted on X, so it has to go through that filter.
Be a little polarizing. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it makes me think about something I can't dive into right now for confidentiality reasons, but a thing we've got going on that it makes me like this is going to stick with me.
It's a thought provoker.
What I am concerned with this line of thinking can excuse the control freak in us all from not letting ourselves delegate enough.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like there is that risk too.
I understand that. Yes.
But he's not wrong. I want to make it clear. Like there's a lot of sort of parallel things that don't all necessarily agree with each other happening here. Yeah. And he's articulated some of them, and then we've articulated three more.
There's a lot of nuance to add about, what is the reward I'm getting?
Well, and how much makes sense to back off. So being completely out of it and someone else is steering the ship and you're checking in once a month at most, that is the scenario he's sort of painting here, where you're hands off and your eyes off.
Yeah.
But you still have all the liability and it could be that someone is slowly eroding the value away without you getting paid for that value going away, right?
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know. That's what I'm saying. But holding the reins entirely and not delegating any of it.
That's a problem too.
Also a problem. So it's a reminder that there's a middle ground here and probably a way of handing things off such that you are being paid for that. And it might be, you've got somebody else running it and they are buying the company from you over time. So that, I don't know.
Yeah, I think whatever you do, you have to structure it in some way that reward offsets this liability that he's talking about.
Yes.
Like, okay. Yeah. I ran this business and I was taking out $200,000 a year, and now I have a supervisor, general manager, operator, and now I'm taking less. I'm only pulling it out, I don't know, $100,000 a year, for example.
Yeah. Right.
Is that worth the risk of whatever that risk is, right? Where's the scale, the balance? It's just the same thing as that. When do you give up, right? When someone can do 75% or 80% of your work, there's that balancing back and forth. But it's definitely worth thinking about and reminded me of, if you're not steering the ship, as he says, what could happen in a negative manner, and you're someone else is controlling your revenue.
Your destiny. Yeah.
Yeah, your destiny.
Or your company's destiny, anyway. Yeah.
And I know you have to do that to grow. These guys with holding companies, and I own 10 businesses or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would imagine there are controls that you have to put in place to avoid this from happening so that you can get whatever reward you're able to get from the business and limit your liability as much as possible.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
What do you think? Feedback at businessbrain.show. The other thing is, you want to win a free MacBook? Businessbrain.show/reviews. Leave us a review and we'll get you entered to win.
Businessbrain.show/reviews or /review. Either one. They both work. Leave a review. Then send us an email. Feedback at businessbrain.show so we know you did. And that'll be that. Keep living the charmed life. We'll see you on Friday.